So, as you're probably aware, this is the Anbernic RG477V, a vertical handheld that's trying to be the best in its class. And on paper, it kind of looks like it could be. Nice design, good controls, solid performance, all the ingredients are here. But when you pick it up, does it justify the hype, or is it just another good enough device? Spoiler alert, it's pretty flipping good. Now, the vertical handheld space is pretty crowded, let's be honest, and the Retroid Pocket Classic has already nailed that simple, nostalgic handheld vibe, with pretty respectable performance as well. And while that device leans hard into retro charm, the 477V feels like it's pushing towards something a bit more modern and refined. Design-wise, pretty similar to the 406V I had a while back, from memory anyway. They're both chonky boys, that's for sure. But the difference is that this one is wider because of that larger 4.7-inch screen. And because of that extra width, it feels much better in the hands. Definitely more than I expected it to. Now, there's no two ways about it, it's still a big vertical slab. But to me, it feels less chunky than the 406V somehow. And because it's wider, your fingers naturally rest on the rear buttons perfectly. And everything is within reach, without feeling cramped. There's a nice grip to it as well, and your pinkies naturally tuck in under the bottom part. The materials and overall fit and finish feel a step more polished than a lot of past Anbernic releases. I had the 476H, which is now with a family member, but this is essentially a vertical version of that in the looks department. But inside, it actually has the guts of the 477M. So plenty of power for all those PS2 and GameCube games, some Wii games, some light Switch, and even some light PS3 games too. Personally, I'm a big fan of the all-glass front. I think it gives it a level of elegance, and the bonus is that it's really easy to wipe clean as well. Just don't drop it. All the buttons are nicely dampened and fairly quiet. The D-pad is excellent, which is usually the case with Anbernic. And the whole device just feels solid in the hands. Not cheap, not toy-like. There's a nice weight to it that's distributed evenly, which I really like. The Retroid Pocket Classic, in comparison, feels almost hollow, and the buttons are noticeably more clicky as well. Now, after spending time with both of these, here's how I'd break it down. For Game Boy and Game Boy Color, the Retroid Pocket Classic still feels like the better fit. The smaller screen size just matches those systems really well. It feels more authentic in a way. But once you move up to GBA, the RG477V starts to make a lot more sense. You can keep everything at the original 3:2 ratio, and even with the horizontal black bars, it still looks great. And the same thing goes for PS1 and beyond. You just get more usable screen real estate here, which means bigger text, cleaner visuals, and honestly, just a better overall experience for longer sessions. That said, the OLED panel on the Retroid Pocket Classic is still the clear winner when it comes to pure display quality. Colours just pop more, contrast is deeper, everything just looks a bit more alive. Would I have loved to see an OLED on the RG477V? Absolutely, but even without it, the display here is still solid. I never really caught myself missing OLED while using it. It just would have been the cherry on top. Alright, I'm just going to say it, this thing is a real joy to use. I mentioned it in my 476H video already, and yeah, they've got the exact same display, but this screen really brings those older systems back to life. It's big enough that if you hold it at arm's length, it still looks great, but it's not so big that everything feels oversized or blown out. For me personally, I think Anbernic really hit the nail on the head with this choice of panel. It makes firing up those classics genuinely enjoyable. I do wonder how many screen size prototypes they went through before landing on this 4.7-inch display. I'd honestly love to know, and secretly, you want to know too, don't you? Sure, the trend right now is to bump the screen size with every new version, but I just don't see vertical handhelds getting any bigger without it getting weird. Anything past 4.7 inches for a vertical device would be kind of wild. This feels like the ceiling, and it just works. Then again, watch me eat my own words when I'm reviewing the 777V in a few years. So my real takeaways after playing it all week are that the games beyond Game Boy and Game Boy Color look fantastic. The extra width you get because of that screen is actually a bonus and improves the ergonomics. It's dead comfortable to hold. Everything retro is dead easy to run on this. There is a ceiling with Switch and PS3 obviously, and also turnip drivers won't work with the Dimensity 8300 chip, so you're limited to a select number of titles. If it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. Now, personally, I don't normally like analog sticks on a vertical handheld because they're often an afterthought, and it's normally too cramped to use them effectively. But because you're spaced out a little bit more here, your thumbs naturally land on them. It's not perfect, but I gotta say, it's fairly decent, all things considered. At the core of this whole device is that 4.7-inch display, because honestly, the entire experience kind of revolves around it, and overall, it's a really enjoyable screen to game on. A lot of vertical handhelds lean towards smaller panels, which is great for portability. You toss them in a pocket, barely notice they're there, but usually that comes at the expense of comfort and readability. Here, the 477V goes the other direction. The bigger screen makes games easier on the eyes, the controls feel less cramped, and the whole thing is just more comfortable to game on for longer sessions. The trade-off, of course, is that this isn't a pocketable handheld anymore. If you're taking the 477V out with you, you're probably bringing a bag. So in the end, it's really about priorities. If you value portability above everything else, there are smaller vertical handhelds that make more sense, like the Retroid Pocket Classic. But if you want a cleaner, more comfortable retro gaming experience, this larger screen definitely earns its place. So similar to the 476H before it, this feels like another really solid release from Anbernic. I picked mine up from AliExpress for around £166 with a coupon, which is only slightly more than what I paid for the 476H, and you're getting a noticeably more powerful device this time round. I'm pretty sure there isn't a vertical handheld that does more for less money. It's ridiculous to think that this handheld looks the way it looks, plays the way it plays, feels the way it feels, as good as it is to live with, and it's like really good value for money. This has been a very positive first impressions. What I'm going to do now to close this out is moan about some really minute things that bug me. Downward facing speakers, not sure why. The front's busy, sure, but 2 extra small cutouts wouldn't have made things worse. The big back home button also feels unnecessary, could have easily been on the side. The lights on select and start, really what's the point? They're labelled and even in dim light you know which is which. I keep them off, they're distracting. The RGB on the analog sticks looks cool, but no brightness adjustment is a miss. And the Anbernic game mode button on the left, you can't remap it in the menu, so if you don't use it, it's basically a wasted button. So yeah, small issues, not deal breakers at all, but noticeable, let's say. So that's going to wrap up my first impressions of the Anbernic RG477V. I'm really curious what you think about this one. Are you looking at picking up a vertical handheld right now? Or is there something coming in the near future that you're especially excited about? Drop your thoughts below, I'll be checking them out. If you enjoyed the video and you haven't already, feel free to subscribe. I promise I don't bite, and you're absolutely welcome here. I hope you're all having a great start to the new year, and if you have done, thank you for watching.